We were going to continue with our mytho through Sekiro, but we're not going to do that because I was going over some more details that I found for the Shichimen, one of the bosses in the game, or 3 of the bosses in the game, and, well, I found out quite a bit of stuff. Now, thanks to that, this video will contain some spoilers. If for some reason you haven't finished the game yet, or can't get past the last boss, I don't blame you for that. Maybe give this video a skip. You don't have to, and there's another one coming after it. It should be a bit less spoiler heavy, but we'll see how that goes. Actually, probably not, but again, we'll see. So, getting into this, once you defeat the Shichimen, drops a ceremonial tanto upon dying. It's interesting because in early periods of Japan, when the tanto was more prominent, the samurai class would carry them, perhaps telling us that the Shichimen may have been people with status whilst they were alive. You might spy pieces of some sort of armor on the warrior, just to add some weight to this idea, and the tanto's descriptions state that it was originally used in a ritual offering to the dragon, in which an emblem would be cut from one's own life force and set adrift on the fountainhead waters. By emblem, it's of course referring to the spirit emblems in the game. Part of the reason I'm sure that this is referring to spirit emblems and not something else is, well, when you use the tanto itself, you can actually see a small spirit emblem float away from your character, but also the description reads, "Spirit emblems harbor the souls of the dead. Only a shinobi could use it for such a thing." And that such a thing is using these spirit emblems with the prosthetic tools. So you get the sense that these aren't the sorts of things that a normal person would be able to take advantage of. They'd have to be special or in contact with something special or something abnormal in some way. This is very similar to a tale in the Chronicles of Japan in which 2 rivers, Kitawakawa and Mamuta, overflow, and the emperor of the time, Nintoku, discovers through a dream that Kowakubi and Koromono Ko, who live in provinces not incredibly far from each troublesome river, should be sacrificed to the gods of each. The overflowing of both of these rivers, as you might imagine, was causing quite a bit of troubles. So once both men were found, Kowakubi was thrust into the Kitawa River, with a prayer following shortly afterwards for the deity of the river. This saw an end to the calamities caused by that specific river, or at least after this was done, the river stopped giving people as much trouble. So next up you would think it was Koromono's turn. However, he instead threw gourds into his river and announced to the deity, "I came here to sacrifice my life to thee, because thou art inflicting the calamity upon the people of this district. If thou dost sincerely want my life, sink these gourds so that they may not float again, then I shall know thee as the true deity of the river, and offer my blood to thee. But if thou canst not sink them, thou art not the true deity, and it would be in vain for me to throw away my life." A wind then blew through the area, as if to try and sink the gourds, but they failed. The river calmed soon afterwards, and Koromono Ko lived on to tell the tale. The tanto's true name is Devoted Soul, which along with the rest of the description is what made me believe that the ceremony of tanto is connected to myth. Considering that a part of one's life force is given in exchange for spirit emblems, perhaps the process at some point changes a person into what we see as the Shichimen. The in-game description of the spirit emblem mentions that feelings of remorse are not limited to the hearts of mankind, and such sentiments may manifest in a fleeting or illusionary form. Perhaps the transformation may have more to do with the spirit emblems themselves than the tanto blade, but this part is mostly speculation, and I can't really prove that the Shichimen have done this to themselves, or even necessarily that the Shichimen have had this done to them. The Shichimen's armor does bear some resemblance to the gear worn by the armored nobles in the Fountainhead. Some of these nobles will place a similar status effect to terror that the Shichimen's attacks give you. The difference being that the noble's attack, when fully stacked, will prevent you from being revived and may freeze you in place. And as you probably know, being frozen in place in the area where they freeze you, surrounded by the actual armored nobles that do a fair bit of damage, and some of them have lightning attack, it's not a good mix for your health bar. Your death would then be permanent. The nobles themselves also have a finisher move of their own should they actually catch you. Now, the essence of both of these attacks, stacking up this gradually growing nasty effect that you probably want to avoid, you don't want that to happen to you, fairly similar to each other. But what do you think? Is that a bit of a stretch on my part? When you yourself use the ceremonial Tanto blade for its extra emblems, Sekiro slices a part of his neck to complete the process. Some think that he likely wouldn't survive without his immortal factor. You'll need to use some divine confetti on your blade to fight the Shichimen, unless you found a build for one of the shinobi tools that can get the job done. In the confetti's description, you can find that pulp is spread thin using water from the exalted fountainhead to make the item. Perhaps this pulp is whatever is cut out of a person using the Tanto to give their life force away as an offering. Though that might be a bit of a literal interpretation of what this pulp is. But it is defined as pulp, so it could really be anything. Doing that wouldn't be so much of a problem for an immortal being, like the corrupted monk. The monk is in fact a priestess, and shares the same name as another priestess or nun from the Yao Bikuni story. The quick version of that tale is that inside everyone is a sanshi, a bug that every 60 days will report to the emperor all the bad or evil deeds anyone may have committed. People believe that by going to a certain feast on the night of the Koshin, which is when the bug goes and reports all the crimes that may or may not have occurred, there's a celebration held round about that time. And at this celebration, mermaid meat is allegedly served by accident, and the guests agree not to eat it. Instead, they wrap up the meat and throw it away later. Everyone does this, but one of the daughters spies the food that seems perfectly good to eat and would just be a waste to just throw away, so she decides to eat it. And nothing happens to the girl immediately. But when she grows up a bit, to a certain point, past teenage, perhaps her middle age, her prime, she retains her youthful look, while still aging, or being alive on the earth, say. Aging's probably not quite correct, because she doesn't exactly have the downsides of getting older, getting slower and all the rest of that. So she outlives her loved ones, and she most likely becomes a nun at some point, travels to distract her from the pain, and find some joy in her life. But long story short, she never does find any joy, and dies at the age of 800, because by that point, she lacked the will to live. That's a pretty strong will to live, though, holding out till age 100. Anyways, the corrupted monk's remnant posed the question, what reason could there be for guarding the Mibu village cave entrance? The corrupted monk's remnant poses the question, what reason could there be for guarding the Mibu village cave entrance? But in doing so, she's not only protecting the fountainhead and the dragon, but also giving herself a purpose that will never end, a reason to live. Something that the mythological Yao lacked, for sure. But what do you think about the Shichimen? You think there's anything I've overlooked or not gone into about them? There is actually one last thing I should probably mention about the Shichimen, that being their name itself, why they're specifically called the Shichimen. I'm not actually too sure, but Shichi, the number 7 specifically, is something like a lucky number in Japanese. More of a positive thing than a negative thing. By contrast, the number 4, or shi, is usually not the most liked number in Japanese because it refers to death. So you'll have figures like the Shichifukujin in Japanese, who are the 7 gods of good luck, and of course they're more of a positive thing than, say, 4. Perhaps there's another side to the Shichimen that I'm not tapping into right now. I'm not really seeing, or nothing's really pointing to that side, other than, of course, the name. There's more to them than I've really dug into here, but Shi gets replaced with Yon in Japanese, and both mean 4, just like Shichi is replaced with Nana, and they both mean 7 for the whole, death connection thing. So maybe I'm just overthinking this. Who do you think the Shichimen are? Do you think that they were once humans, perhaps part of the nobles? Are the humans and the nobles perhaps one and the same? Do humans become nobles if they ever do end up going to the fountainhead? Let me know all of your thoughts in the comments section below, and of course if you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like, and of course subscribe for more content just like this and the next video of course. Next time we may be going over the sculptor, because as I was looking over the emblem and some of the lore and stuff behind that, it's quite a bit of stuff that connects in with the sculptor, so I'm looking into the sculptor right now. And until the next video, have a very good day, Prime, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.